Hello tankers. So today we've got a bit of a different one. A DIY project that is kind of a because I needed one and because I had parts. So I thought I'd film it and bring you along with me. Sitting in front of the 50 gallon here. 50 gallon, I think it's 50. I call it a 55 all the time, so if my videos say 55, don't worry about it. Anyways, we had some breeding activity, and I took that as a sign that I had to do something because my other fry boxes are all busy. So you get to come along and watch me build a fry box, and I'll show you the fry and the fish and so forth. There's probably going to be maybe a snap or two of some updates to other tanks along the way. Have fun, stay tuned.
Using all these spare parts. We got lots of spare parts. I'm sure I can make something work. Got a pretty good idea in my head. Got a pump from an old filter, etc. It's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a completely random one. But those two look like they are about to spawn really soon. And I don't have a spare fry box. So we're gonna make a nice big one for theirs. All right, let's go over kind of what we got going on here. So I've got a bubble ring that will be aerating the eggs in the methylene blue when that time comes. I have a Rubbermaid container that was in use by my daughters for her snails, but she's using a different one now, so I figured we will use that as our fry box. It's gonna be a fun DIY project. I have got elbows and 45s and bulkheads and a ball control flow valve. It's gonna be cool. I can turn up the volume. Big long piece of PVC. I have another piece of PVC as well. And we've got the filters. I'm just going to use this one here, both the exact same. Filters from Marina, and they are from the slim hang-on back filters that you might see. I've got two of them kicking around that came with little used aquarium kits that I bought, but I have zero intention of actually using them as filters because they're so narrow and all my stuff is filtered pretty good already. I'll be putting a fine pre-filter on here. Now, what I'm going to be doing with the piping here, because this doesn't quite meet the same interior diameter, and also has a notch out for this plug, so it's not quite a circle. All that I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be notching it out along with it, and using that as kind of a pressure hold, and then aquarium silicone around there, because this has no other purpose for me except this. It's gonna be fun. I have the intake tube from an old penguin, maybe emperor, not entirely sure, but it's been lying around and we're gonna use it. And the reason we're using this is two reasons. I want the water intake to be baffled out. Not quite a spray bar, but I also don't want it to be a jet going into the fry box. When it does, I just kind of want it to trickle. I heated this up on my stove just to kind of widen it a little bit. And the reason for that was so that I can take the PVC pipe and I can just stick it on, because I don't intend to glue that. The reason I'm not gluing it is, again, something that I found out with fry boxes that bothers me is all of the floating gunk debris that gets brought up in. This will have a pre-filter sponge, like I mentioned, so that will filter out, a good majority of it. I'm going to use a fine one. But this also becomes a makeshift cartridge for filter floss. I will just put a little chunk of filter floss in here that I can then pop this off, switch it out, switch it in. I've started to do that on my other 2 fry boxes, and they stay clean for much longer, and I have much less cleaning to do, which is great. I've got my bulkheads along with my elbows that are going to go through the side of the box, one in, and I've got this. Yep, another third one for out. And I'm designing this to go on the back of my 55-gallon where the angels are breeding. So the water will be the exact same for the angel fry as it is for the angelfish. And it can sit nicely behind the light, and all of the weight of the, oh, this is a 2.2 gallon, I believe it works out to be. So that's a pretty large when it comes to a fry box. The weight that has, the edge of the tank goes along here, and the center bracket goes here. So all of the weight of this, roughly going to be about 25 pounds, probably, you know, filled with water, will sit on the brackets and be supported completely. It already has holes in it, which for our case is completely irrelevant, but we'll have some fun with it. Lock shut, etc. All right. So here's the 55 that I plan to put them on. There's my pair of angels over there. Got a second pair over here. And then unfortunately there is one odd man out who tends to hide around here. He'll be moved to a different tank because I don't want him picked on and stuff. But up here, we've got the perfect fitment for it to sit on the actual tank frame, weight supported. I'll have intake coming up there, and of course, overflow out back into the tank. Very straightforward, but I figured let's have some fun and make it a video. There's my oddball getting chased around. I don't like that. I was hoping he'd be one of the pairs, because his pectoral fins there are actually one of each color, and I thought that was actually really cool. But either way, beautiful angels. Gonna make me some beautiful fry once these two hurry up. All right, we've got holes drilled. Let's move that handle there. Holes drilled on one side and on the other side. I have made one of them higher. The intake is going to be higher than the overflow. Obviously we want to make sure it is in fact overflowing, but I can control the flow rate with my ball valve. So too much water, I turn it down. It won't clog up. And so I've got my bulkhead here. We'll be going through the hole there. And on the inside of both sides, I will be putting a little aquarium silicone around this seam, just to make sure it's got a nice clean connection there. Making sure these are nice and flush, no burrs of plastic. Well, let's get these put in and then I'll show you the rest. So there's the gist of it. Got my bulkheads in both sides. Got the adapters to switch from threaded to non-threaded pressure / glue. I probably won't need the glue. There's not gonna be enough pressure in here to worry about. But I've got my little makeshift baffle up there. Just got to extend some pipes down and do the little notch out for going onto right there. So I'll start that and we'll just see it in motion. All right, there's the gist of it. I just put a piece of filter sponge in there, really coarse, just to stop anything such as eggs or fry when they do hatch going through. And ideally, I don't really want snails climbing up this main. It's fine when there's fry in there, but not when there's eggs. But I did put that below the water level so that I didn't hear it. But yeah, in the tank, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, yeah, it's white PVC, but it is attached to my filter sponge. I mean, it's no uglier than a giant box sitting on the front. So let's plug it in and see what we get, eh? All right, get you set up right there. I decided not to try the ball valve. I was gonna just put it on for now and see if I can do without it, because I can use it for a different project. But as you can see, I did put filter floss in that. Oh, lights to the aquarium just went out. But that I do find that to be too long. Maybe I'll fashion something a bit smaller. But it's not coming in too fast, which is nice. It seems to be quite slow, quite reasonable. It will be silent once that, of course, is under the water. But let's give it a moment to fill up here, and I'll come back to you when it's closer to the top. Okay. We are approaching the overflow here. While watching it come in, there's actually a chance I just take that off completely and let it trickle in. Maybe rely on the pre-filter sponge to do more of the filtering, but that'll be kind of a trial and error type thing. Most attractive? Not so much. But it's not that big of an eyesore on top of the tank. Alright, now we get to see how high it goes on the overflow. I put some dechlorinator in as well as some tap water to speed it up if you're wondering why it's all oily looking. Okay, so we're definitely draining out now. Just trying to hope that the drain is equally as fast as the water coming in. Water level's a bit low now because of all the water it's sucked up, but it's definitely spraying out. No leaks on our ball joints there. Or sorry, bulkheads. No leak there. I just left these pressured. I didn't bother gluing them. And we're still only at the halfway spot of the overflow. And you can actually see with some of that dechlorinator, it is actually making its way across. And then there will be the air stone like I showed you in the center here for when I am able to cut off that leaf, assuming that they do in fact spawn on it. Overall successful, super easy, all spare parts. If you wanted to go out and buy stuff, you could definitely make it prettier. But it's silent. Still only halfway. Actually, make sure I'm sitting level. Yeah, still only halfway. You can see it trickling out there. There's not enough pressure in that pump to use up this whole thing, so that's probably going to be taken off. I'll figure out something else to keep all the
debris out of it. But I just thought I'd take you along the journey of another DIY project of Travis's tanks. Once it's long enough, my pothos can hide it. All over it, all under it. You'll never even know it's there. Pretty sleek with the lid on. It's been about 10 minutes. Still that same half. Now, of course, you can adopt this idea as maybe a separation box for an aggressive fish or an injured fish. You wouldn't do it to a sick fish because you want to medicate, but nice clean bit of food on the lid there, sorry. But overall, that doesn't actually look that bad, to be honest. Once the pothos grows, as you can see, the water level has dropped substantially since I filled that up with it, but so all in all, this cost me nothing. Literally nothing. But I have spare parts lying around, so not everyone's going to. So if you were building something to this effect from scratch, $3-4 from a dollar store, roughly between 50 and 70 cents per piece. $3 for a big tube of that. Same over there. And then the pump. Pump is where money's gonna be. But you could do this with air. If you had enough air. I just don't want air running on this one.
I've got enough.
Okay, little update.
So I put it elbow on, just so I can put it above the water. I can always see it if it's trickling out. It's off right now. And I've got filter floss that I just stick in there, and it does do the job. I've got my air stone connected because I am about to put some methylene blue and these right here. So just as I thought, they did spawn. Looks like quite a big batch, actually. It goes all the way around and then down that leaf. There's a good shot of it. So right now I'm giving them plenty of time to fertilize. They would have done this morning, and I just got home from work, so they should be good, but he's still doing some passes over. So I'm going to let that happen, but before the lights go out, I'm going to take them out and put them in the methylene blue, because I don't trust them being their second attempt. In fact, this could be the first attempt of that pair, and it was the other ones that did attempt last time. Either way, brand new parents suck at protecting the eggs, and they will eat them. And I don't want that to happen. So we're gonna get out there. When that time comes, I'll give you a shot of it in there with the methylene blue. And then I will post this video. And there'll be an update when there's hatching and stuff involved, because I've got a few updates of other hatchings and breeding activities and such, and I'll make just a montage of them all. Okay, so they're separated. Hopefully you can see those eggs on the leaf. There's quite a few. They were not all that keen on me taking this leaf out, but I'm going to go ahead and put a few drops of methylene blue in there. I want to be able to see my drops, so there's one. Okay, we'll just give it a second to circulate around, see how blue that makes the water, and see if I need another drop. Because you don't want it too much. It's unnecessary. That might be enough. Maybe I'll put a tiny little bit more in there. Alright, that should be plenty. All of the actual eggs are under the water. The tip of the leaf is not, but that's irrelevant. Now it won't zoom on those because, well, they're very hard to focus on. But as you can see, there are quite a few. Lighting is quite poor since my aquarium lights have gone out. I waited until lights out before I tried to take this leaf. But follow along. Oh, that must have dripped off the air hose. Alright, follow along for more updates. Got two of them running right here. Yeah. They're occupied, hence the need to build the other one. Might as well. While I'm here, show you some fun. Those are Pistogramma Hong Sloi fry that we found while we were doing the rescape of the 10-gallon. The Freef, as you may see on my lists. In here, you may not see them, but where it is, there's a few fry in here. There's about 3 or 4 German rams, and then about 3 or 4 Hong Sloi Pistogramma from eggs that were found during that rescape. But as you can see, this pothos plant is doing quite well. All the way over there, and then I got another one coming out that side. Two of the ram grow outs in here seem to be getting pretty close to each other. They look like they might be forming a pair off there, which is great. They aren't too fond of him, which is also a good sign. Which is actually a blessing in disguise, because he can be the new male for my original male, who looks like he's aging out of his prime. He's getting pretty docile and not doing too much in the way of enticing more breeding. All in all, good day in the room. The pictures don't do it justice. The colors on these two are much more wonderful than the video gives them credit for. This tank doesn't have very fantastic lighting in it. It's a grow out after all. We're gonna have a jostle. He might be learning his place. Maybe not.